My name is Adeshewa, daughter of Chief Olufemi, the most respected hunter in Igbodu village. From the day I was born, the river called my name, not with words, but with whispers that only my soul could hear. People said I was a child of water, marked by destiny itself. I was not like other girls. While they fetched water and laughed, I listened to the river hum my name. Adeshewa, come home. It would say, my mother warned me never to answer the call of the river, but some voices are stronger than fear. That evening, the elders gathered under the iroko tree. A strange drought had struck the village. The river began to dry, and the crops withered. The oracle said the river goddess was angry, and only the one she marked at birth could calm her wrath. All eyes turned to me. My father refused. He said no daughter of mine would be a sacrifice to the river. But when the wells turned to dust and children fell ill, he came to my heart and wept in my lap. That was the night I decided to go, not for the goddess, but for my people. Before dawn, I wrapped my mother's bead around my wrist and walked to the river alone. The moon hid behind cloud as if afraid to watch when I stepped into the cold water. I heard the drums of the unseen, and then silence. Then she appeared, the river goddess herself. Her eyes were like deep water, and her voice like thunder wrapped in silk. She said, child of man, you were born mine. Will you serve the living or join the forgotten? I trembled, yet I did not bow. I told her, I will serve both the river and my people. The goddess smiled. Then she touched my forehead with her hand, and pain like fire and water filled my body. When I opened my eyes again, the drought was gone, but my reflection was no longer human. When the goddess released me, the ruler pushed me ashore. I woke up covered in silver mist, my wrapper clinging to my skin. The air smelled of rain and power. As I walked back towards Igbodu, the ground trembled softly under my feet. Evil trees seemed to bow. When I reached the village, people scattered. They said I was no longer flesh but spirit. Children cried, dogs barked. Only my father stared forward, his eyes red with both pride and terror. I touched his arm. Water shimmered beneath my fingers. He gasped, Adeshewa, what have you become? By noon, the talking drum called the elders. They said no spirit must live among mortals. I heard whispers. Cast her back into the water before she brings a curse. My heart burned. The goddess had saved them, yet they fear me more than the drought itself. That night, they sent guards to follow me to the river. I did not cry. The goddess's power pulsed in my blood. But when my father's voice broke through the crowd, forgive them, my child, the water inside me trembled. I turned once more to the village that has raised me and walked into the darkness. The goddess did not appear this time, only the whispers of water around my ankles. Then light swelled around me, and from it rose a bracelet of living water coiling like a serpent on my wrist. Her voice echoed inside me. You are my bridge, child of two words. When men forget their hearts, remind them that the river remembers from that night. The bracelet glowed whenever danger neared. Seasons passed. One evening, cries pierced the air. Raiders from the east stormed Igbodu. Huts burned. Drums fell silent. I felt the braziers grow hot. The river roared in my veins. Without thinking, I ran towards the flames. I called the river by its secret name. A wall of water rose from the earth, twisting like a living spirit. It swept through the raiders, quenching flames and fear alike. When it was over, silence fell heavier than thunder. My people stared at me, not with hate, but with awe. The next morning, elders bent before me. They called me Yeyeomi, mother of water. I smiled, though tears hid behind my eyes. I was no longer only Adeshewa. I was both woman and river, and as long as the drums of Igbodu beat, my spirit would guard them. They still sing my name at the new moon. Adeshewa, river bride, guardian of Igbodu. Sometimes, when the waters glitters and the air tastes of rain, I rise with mist and walk among them unseen, because legends never die. They flow like rivers through the heart of those who believe. The days that followed were heavy with silence. Wherever I went, eyes followed me. Some curious, some afraid. Children stopped their games when I passed. Old women whispers, that is the one who caused the rain. The bracelet no longer glowed, yet I could still feel its heartbeat against my skin. One afternoon, as I fetched water, the wind rose suddenly. The river's voice brushed against my ear soft, almost like a warning. They will test you, it whispered, and by nightfall, the test arrived. The river's gift is dangerous, the chief declared. Power in a woman's hands is like a fire in dry grass. I looked him in the eye. Power is not a gender, Baba Adekunle. It is purpose. The crowd gasped. His face hardened like a carved stone. The bracelet snapped the rope as if it were paper. A ring of water lifted from the river and formed around me, not to harm, but to speak. The chief's face changed. Pride gave way to something softer. The water touched the ground, and all the torches went dim. The bracelet snapped the rope as if it were paper. A ring of water lifted from the river and formed around me, not to harm, but to speak. The chief's face changed. Pride gave way to something softer. The water touched the ground, and all the torches went dim. The river did not punish. It sang. The sound was many voices woven together. I watched the chief collapse to his knees as the water wrapped him in cool remembrance. When the song faded, the bracelet's glow did too. The mark on my skin remained. At dawn, I walked home barefooted, the village following at a distance. They left baskets of flowers and calabashes by my door. The elders came to learn the prayer of water. Seasons turned, the rain returned gentle and true. Sometimes, when the moon rides high, I still hear the river laugh like an old friend. Voice calling my name. I am Adeshewa, daughter of the river. The water walks beside me, and my people sleep without fear. I was born in the village of Umoka, a land wrapped in red soil and palm trees. Among our maidens, none shone brighter than Amaka, the daughter of Omeka the carver. Her beauty was the talk of every moonlight gathering, but beauty, they say, can be as heavy as a curse. Amaka's beauty became a pride. She would look at the village boys and laugh. They are too local for me, she said. I need a man with shoulders strong like the gods and a smile that can melt the moon. Her laughter echoed, breaking hearts like brittle clay. Then, one day, a stranger came. He walked through the dusty paths carrying a bow and the confidence of a lion. His name was Obina, a hunter from the next village. He came not for women, but for the forest game. Yet, destiny had other plans. Later that evening, Obina rested beside the village stream. When Amaka saw him washing his hands, she approached with the pride of a queen. Our stream is for maidens, stranger, she said. He smiled. Then I have found something purer than water. That was the beginning of everything. From that day, Amaka's step changed. She brought Obina roasted yam and laughter, walked with him by moonlight. Her friends began to whisper. Has the proud peacock found a cock to follow her? Ngozi mocked, hiding jealousy behind a grin. After 3 market days, Obina said, I must go, Amaka. The forest beyond awaits. She laughed softly, hiding her tears. That night, she sat alone outside her hut, the moon watching her heart breaking. By sunrise, Amaka was gone. Her mother's voice broke the morning silence. They found only a folded wrapper and a trail of footprints that led towards the forest. The villagers murmured all day. Did she follow the hunter? Or did jealous hand pull her away? Ngozi stood silent, fear hidden behind a smirk. That evening, a boy fetching water screamed. He found Amaka's red beaded bracelet near the river bank, half buried in sand. The village grew cold with silence. That night, I could hear her voice through the wind. Some said she ran away for love. Others whispered her price had angered the gods. But Umuoka never forgets. The forest keeps all secrets, even the ones we are afraid to tell. I still remember that morning when Amaka disappeared. The sun rose over Umuoka, but her laughter did not echo through the stream as usual. Her mother's cries pierced the quiet air. Amaka, Amaka, but no one answered. At first, people thought she went to fetch water early, but when a pot was found by the stream, cracked and overturned, fear began to crawl into every heart. The elders gathered beneath the big Udala tree to talk. Some said she followed the hunter, the stranger who came with a charm of beauty and a smile too sharp to trust. Others whispered that jealous maiden had finally had their revenge. But one thing was certain, no one had seen Amaka since the night the hunter left. That night, the moon was pale and strange, and the forest wind carried a whisper that made even the crickets silent. Her best friend Ngozi could not sleep. She swore that she heard Amaka's voice calling her from the forest that night. But when she ran to the elders, they told her that it was just her mind playing tricks. By the next morning, rumors had spread across Umwaka like fire. Some said she was kidnapped, others said she was punished by the gods for her pride. A few swore they saw footprints leading into the forest, two sets of them. The hunter's name, Obina, was soon on everyone's lips. The elders sent men to his village, but they said he had not returned home either. That was when fear turned into something darker, suspicion. 3 days passed, then someone found something, a red bead necklace, tangled in the root of a tree near the river bank. It was Amaka's own. Her mother fainted when she saw it. Some women began to whisper that it was Ngozi who had done it, out of jealousy. Others said it was Amaka's pride that had led her into a spirit trap, but no one could tell for sure. That night, a storm broke out. Thunder rolled above Umuoka as if the gods themselves were angry. Some swore they saw a faint figure by the forest edge, a woman in a yellow wrapper before lightning struck the old palm tree. Since that night, no one spoke of Amaka again, at least not loudly. But whenever the wind howls through the palm trees, the villagers of Umuoka still whispers, was it love that took her or vengeance? No one knows, and I still wonder. 3 days has passed since Amaka disappeared. The village of Umuoka, once filled with laughter and drum beats, was now heavy with whispers. Every night, the moon watched over worried mothers and angry fathers. Maybe she followed that stranger, one man shouted. I said it. No good comes out from these proud maidens, the crowd murmured in agreement. But her mother refused to believe it. My daughter can never run away, she sobbed. She must be in danger. Meanwhile, deep within the forest, the hunter Obina sat by a dying fire, his eyes restless. Did she not return home? He muttered to himself. I left her at the stream that morning. He remembered her laughter by the stream, how her caramel skin glowed beneath the sun. her round face soft with joy. But that joy had turned into fear when she mentioned being followed. "Someone is watching us," she had whispered. Obina had looked around, but the forest was silent, too silent. Back in the village, some maidens rejoiced secretly. "Maybe the gods have punished her pride," said Adora, her closest friend, but deepest rival. But one of the maidens looked uneasy. "Adora," she said quietly, "don't you give Amaka palm wine that night?" Adora froze for a moment. Rumors began to spread like harmattan fire. Some said Amaka was poisoned, others swore she ran away with the hunter. All the streams where Amaka once fetched water, her red beads were found scattered on the sand. Fear gripped everyone's hearts. Obinna returned to Umuoka with guilt in his eyes. "I must speak with the elders," he said. "If anything has happened to her, let me be judged too." When Amaka's mother saw him, she screamed, "You took her away. You took my only child." The villagers surrounded him in fury. But Obinna swore by the gods, "If I lie, let the earth swallow me. I love her truly." His voice broke. His eyes were filled with tears. Just then, a strange woman appeared from the forest, her face covered in dust. Her wrapper was torn. It was Amaka. She collapsed in her mother's arm. "They wanted to kill me," she whispered weakly, "but I escaped." Everyone fell silent. Adora's face turned pale as fear washed over her. The truth was about to unfold. And as Amaka pointed towards the crowd with trembling hands, the village of Umoka held its breath, waiting for the name she would call. The villagers of Umoka gathered beneath the big Iroko tree. The air was heavy. Amaka had returned, but peace had not. Everyone waited for her to speak. Her voice was weak but clear. "I didn't follow Obinna," she said. "Someone gave me palm wine that night. When I woke, I was tired near the old shrine in the forest." The villagers gasped. All eyes turned to the maiden standing nearby. Adora looked down, her hands shaking. "Adora," an elder said slowly, "you were the one seen last with her that evening." The old man's voice cracked like thunder through the crowd. Adora stammered, "It wasn't me. I only gave her wine." She said she was tired. Tears rolled down her face. The village murmured angrily. "You lied." One woman shouted, "You envied her beauty. You wanted her gone." The crowd grew wild. Then Obinna stepped forward. "Let her speak," he said firmly. "The truth deserves voice, not violence." Adora fell to her knees. "It was jealousy," she cried. "I only wanted her to sleep for one night, so the men would look at me instead." The crowd gasped in disbelief. Mothers covered their mouths. Elders shook their heads. Adora trembled as her secret burned in open. Then a sudden wail came from the back. Adora's own mother fainted to the ground, crying, "You've brought curse to our lineage." The elders gathered. The oldest spoke slowly. "Jealousy is the devil's chain. For poisoning your sister, you shall serve the shrine for one moon and cleanse the land." Amaka stepped forward. Her voice shook, but her eyes held no hate. "Let her live. I forgive her," she said. "Her pain already punishes her." Her forgiveness melted the crowd's anger. Even the elders nodded slowly. "The gods favor mercy," one whispered. That night, the talking drum returned to Umuoka, but they no longer sang of pride or envy. They sang of forgiveness and love. Amaka and Obinna later married with the blessings of the elders. The village finally saw what pride had once hidden. True love knows no boundary. And though she was once lost, her return became the story that taught Umuoka to love beyond the walls of pride.
The town was alive with music. The drums beat loudly, and the voices of women rose in songs of celebration. Joy, a young bride with a soft smile and bright eyes, walked gracefully into her new home. She was nervous, but happiness radiated from her heart. Beside her was David, her husband, tall, handsome, and respected in the community. He held her hand gently, his face glowing with pride. It was their wedding day, the day Joy had long prayed for. She whispered to herself, "This is the beginning of forever." The first weeks of marriage were filled with laughter. Joy woke early each morning, tied her orange wrapper, and cooked for David. She hummed softly as she stirred the pot, her heart filled with love. David often sneaked into the kitchen just to taste her food, making her laugh until her sides hurt. In the evenings, they prayed together, holding hands, whispering dreams of the children they would one day raise. But months passed. And then a year. The compound was still quiet. No sound of a baby crying. No tiny feet running around. The neighbors began to whisper. "Why has Joy not conceived? Is something wrong with her?" Joy forced a smile when she walked past them, but every word pierced her soul. David noticed his wife's fading smile. One night, after Joy had fallen asleep, he sat outside under the moon, whispering a prayer. "Lord, give my wife peace. Give us strength. Even if children delay, keep our love strong." Her biggest challenge was Mama Grace, David's mother. Mama Grace was a strong woman, always dressed in bold red wrappers and heavy beads. She loved her son dearly, but she wanted grandchildren more than anything. One morning, she visited Joy. Adjusting her red head tie, she said sharply, "Joy, a woman's pride is in her children. How long do you want me to wait? My friends laugh at me. They say my son married a barren woman." Joy knelt respectfully, tears in her eyes. "Mama, I am praying. God will answer us." But Mama Grace shook her head. "Prayers without results are useless. Open your womb before it's too late." That afternoon, Joy went to fetch water at the village stream. She tried to smile at the women around, but she could hear their laughter and whispers. She carried the heavy pot on her head, tears hidden behind her forced smile. Each month, Joy waited anxiously. But each month ended in tears. Alone in her room, she cried into her pillow. David always tried to comfort her. "Joy," he whispered, "don't cry. You are more than enough for me. God's time is the best." His words gave her strength, but late at night, her heart trembled with fear. What if Mama Grace convinced him to take another wife? One evening, Mama Grace stormed into the house. She wore a purple wrapper with silver embroidery and her face was full of anger. "David," she shouted. "Enough of this shame. You must take another wife. Joy has failed you. A man like you cannot remain without children." Joy froze, her body trembling. This was her greatest fear, spoken aloud. But David stood tall. His voice was calm but firm. "Mama, stop. Joy is my wife, and I love her. I will never abandon her. Children are a gift from God. If He wills, they will come. But I will never betray my vows." The next day, Mama Grace sat with her friends under a mango tree, fanning herself angrily. She complained loudly about Joy, while the women shook their heads in mock pity. Joy passed by, carrying firewood. Their laughter burned her soul. That night, Joy wore her white prayer gown and knelt by her bed. She raised her hands, tears streaming down her face. "Lord," she whispered, "I will wait for you. Even if the world mocks me, I will not give up my faith. Give me strength, Lord. Give me strength." Through the window, a ray of moonlight shone directly on her face, as though God Himself was listening. Later that night, David came into the room and found Joy still praying. He knelt beside her, held her hand, and said, "No matter what happens, I will stand with you. You are my joy, and you will always be enough." Joy wept on his shoulder, comforted by his love. Joy's journey had just begun. The trials ahead would be even harder, but she knew one thing for certain: she was not alone. With David's love beside her and her faith in God, she would endure every storm. Weeks turned into months, and Joy's smile grew weaker. She still cooked, still swept the compound, still greeted everyone with respect. But in her heart, sorrow was planting roots. She often sat by the doorway, gazing at children running across the village square. Their laughter was like knives cutting deep into her chest. Mama Grace grew restless. Her bold voice echoed across the compound every morning. "David, are you blind? Can't you see that Joy is useless? You are my only son. I need grandchildren before I die." Joy's heart pounded each time Mama Grace's voice rose. But David always defended his wife. "Mama," he said one morning, his voice steady, "leave Joy alone. She is my wife, and I will not let you disgrace her. God's time is different from ours." Mama Grace hissed, throwing her wrapper over her shoulder. "You are bewitched by her beauty. One day, you will regret it." Joy tried to keep busy. She went to the market, carrying her basket. But even there, the whispers followed. "She is barren," someone muttered. "Why hasn't David married another wife?" another replied. Joy lowered her head, pretending not to hear. That evening, Joy returned home with swollen eyes. She hid inside the kitchen, pretending to sort vegetables, but her tears fell freely. David found her there and wiped her face gently. "Joy, don't hide your pain from me. We are in this together." Unable to bear her frustration, Mama Grace went to the elders. Dressed in her bold purple wrapper, she spoke with authority. "My son must not waste his strength. If Joy cannot give him children, then another woman will." The elders shook their heads, concerned but silent. That night, Joy lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She could hear Mama Grace's angry voice echoing in her ears. She whispered, "Lord, don't let my home be destroyed. Don't let my husband's love fade away." The next morning, David brought Joy flowers he picked by the riverside. He placed them in her hands and said, "As long as I breathe, you will never face this battle alone." Joy's eyes softened. For a moment, her heart felt light again. But Mama Grace grew bolder. One afternoon, before neighbors, she shouted at Joy, "You are eating my son's food, wasting his time, and giving me nothing in return. What use are you?" The neighbors watched silently as Joy's eyes filled with shame. Unable to bear the humiliation, Joy ran to the village stream. She sat on a rock, crying into her hands. The sound of rushing water drowned her sobs, but her heart felt like it would break. Her childhood friend, Esther, found her there. Dressed in a yellow gown, Esther wrapped her arms around Joy. "Don't give up, Joy. God sees you. One day, your tears will become laughter." Joy leaned on her shoulder, grateful for a friend's comfort. But Mama Grace was not done. Her anger grew stronger, and her voice louder. Joy's battle was only beginning. By the second year of marriage, the whispers had turned into open gossip. In the market, at the stream, even during church gatherings, people spoke about Joy as if she was invisible. "She must have offended the gods," one woman muttered. "Or maybe she did something in her youth," another added. Joy felt their eyes on her everywhere she went. Mama Grace's patience finally ran out. She began searching for another wife for David. One evening, she sat with her friends in the compound. "My son is wasting away," she declared, wearing a blue wrapper with heavy beads. "Tomorrow, I will bring him a fertile woman. Enough is enough." Her friends nodded, encouraging her. Unaware that Joy was returning from the backyard, Mama Grace spoke loudly. Joy stopped, frozen. Her knees felt weak. Tears filled her eyes as she realized her worst nightmare was about to come true. That night, Joy sat with David, her hands trembling. "David, Mama wants you to take another wife," she whispered. "Tell me, will you leave me? David held her face gently. Joy, look into my eyes. I swore before God and man that you are my only wife. Let Mama plan whatever she wants. My heart belongs to you. The next morning, Mama Grace gathered the family. She stood in the center of the compound in her bold green wrapper and announced, by this time next month, I will bring a new wife into this house. Joy's heart shattered, but David's voice thundered, no, Mama. This is my house, and Joy is my wife. I will never accept another woman. The entire compound fell silent. Later that evening, Joy could not hold back anymore. She locked herself in her room, fell to the floor, and wept bitterly. Lord, why me? Am I cursed? Why should my womb be closed? Her cries shook the walls. David knocked softly, then entered. He sat beside her, lifted her gently, and whispered, Joy, don't break yourself. You are the joy of my life. Mama cannot change that. That night, Joy and David knelt together. Dressed in white, they lifted their voices in prayer. Lord, silence the voice of shame. Let our testimony speak for us. Their voices shook with emotion as they cried unto God. The next day, Esther visited Joy. She wore a bright yellow wrapper and carried fresh fruits. Joy, she said, holding her friend's hand, don't let Mama Grace's words destroy you. God has not forgotten you. Her words were like a bomb to Joy's wounded heart. Meanwhile, Mama Grace continued to start trouble. She sat with women at the village square, laughing mockingly. My son's wife is barren. Imagine the shame. But I will end it soon. The women laughed with her, fueling her anger. That night, Joy rose from bed and looked into the mirror. Her face was tired, her eyes swollen. But deep inside, she whispered, I will not break. I will not let shame defeat me. She tied a white scarf on her head and prayed silently. One night, Joy had a strange dream. She saw herself holding a baby wrapped in white cloth, smiling as the baby laughed. Beside her stood David, beaming with joy. She woke up, breathless, and whispered, Lord, was that a sign? Weeks later, Mama Grace suddenly fell ill. Her bold voice became weak, her steps slow. For the first time, she needed Joy's care. Despite all the insults, Joy cooked for her, fetched water, and even washed her clothes. Mama Grace watched silently, guilt creeping into her heart. One evening, as Joy massaged her legs, Mama Grace whispered, Why do you care for me, after all I've done to you? Joy smiled faintly. Because you are my mother too. Love is stronger than pain. Tears filled Mama Grace's eyes, but she said nothing. One morning, Joy felt weak. Her head spun as she tried to cook. She sat on the floor, holding her stomach. David rushed in. Joy. What's wrong? Days later, after visiting the village nurse, David returned with tears of joy. Joy, you are with child. Her heart leaped. She fell to her knees, shouting, Thank you, Lord. When Mama Grace heard, she burst into tears. She staggered into Joy's room and fell on her knees. My daughter, forgive me. I was blind. You are carrying my grandchild. May God bless you. Joy pulled her up gently, both women weeping in each other's arms. The news spread across the village like wildfire. Women all related with joy, drummers beat loudly, and neighbors danced. She is pregnant, they shouted. God has answered her prayers. From that day, Mama Grace changed completely. She became Joy's biggest protector, ensuring no one stressed her. My daughter must rest. She is carrying my golden child, she told everyone. 9 months later, the cries of a newborn filled the house. Joy held her baby boy, her tears flowing freely. David knelt beside her, overwhelmed with joy. Mama Grace danced outside, thanking God. The village gathered for the naming ceremony. Joy wore a radiant golden gown, David a white border with blue embroidery. Mama Grace shone in a purple wrapper with coral beads. The baby was named Samuel, meaning a God has heard. The people cheered, celebrating God's faithfulness. With tears in her eyes, Mama Grace stood before everyone. I once mocked my daughter. I nearly destroyed my son's home. But today, God has shown me mercy. Joy is the true jewel of this family. She placed her hands on Joy's shoulders, blessing her. As the sun set that evening, Joy, David, Mama Grace, and baby Samuel sat together outside their house. David held Joy's hand. Mama Grace carried Samuel gently, humming softly. For the first time, peace filled the home completely. Joy's story became a testimony for the entire village. From mockery to miracle, from sorrow to joy. She had endured the storm, and in the end, her faith, her love, and her patience brought her victory.